Welcome to MS Office. This is the tutorial introduction to PowerPoint. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create our first PowerPoint slide presentation based upon things that we've learned so far this year. Now the very nice thing is that there may be a lot of features that you already know in PowerPoint because you've actually used this application in your other classes developing presentations and projects. So the goal here is to review things that you may have not used in a while and hopefully to learn some new things that you never knew before. That's the overall goal. After we've got the basics of PowerPoint down, you're going to have a project to work on to develop your own PowerPoint presentation, and that will be your PowerPoint grade for this year. Okay? So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to save this current one that I've been working on here because I'm going to develop another version. What I'd like you to do is to watch through this video and see the step-by-step process. And then what you're going to do after you're done watching the video is you're going to create the tutorial just as I do, making sure that you understand what parts of the ribbon you have to go to and what steps and procedures you have to go to in order to create the PowerPoint presentations. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. Let's close that out. And now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up PowerPoint. And I'm going to create a brand new slide. Okay. First thing we want to do, we want to go to the Design tab in PowerPoint. And the very first thing you want to do is you want to choose a theme in your PowerPoint presentation. And if you check the drop-down box here, you can see more themes along the way. And if you're not content with these themes, you can always go to Microsoft Office Online and grab even more themes. There is a way to even create your own themes, but we're not going to get into that here. So let's see. The version that I'm going to choose, or the theme that I'm going to choose here, is called Aspect. So I'm going to choose this theme right here. Okay, this is called a title slide. And I'm going to go ahead and just type in MS Office PowerPoint. I'm going to add a subtitle in. And this is called Computer Applications for School and Work. And there's my title slide. Now there's a couple of ways to insert a new slide. Let me show you the quickest way. I go over here to the slide view pane, right click in the open space, and I can choose new slide. But there's a downside to this, okay? Let me show you what the downside is. The downside to this is that it won't give you as many options to insert a new slide in the format that you want it. Let me go ahead and undo that, and I'll show you the second way you can insert a slide. Go to the Home tab, and then under New Slide, you'll have an Aspect drop-down box, and you can choose the format that you want for your next slide. So while right-clicking is the quickest way, it's probably not always the most efficient way. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add in a Content Pane. So this is my second slide. And I'm going to click in here, and I'm going to type Things We Learned in Excel. Now, this right here is a multiple content box. You can add different things. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to add text. So to add text, all you have to do is click to add text. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to type in the things that we learned in Excel this year. So simple formulas, we learned that. If statements. We also learned nested if statements. We learned the name manager. We learned how to filter and sort data. We learned pivot, tables, and charts. We also learned VLOOKUP. We also learned how to create subtotals. And let's see, what else have we learned here? We've also learned how to work with pie and column charts. Now I'm going to click on the Add to Text in the second part. What else have we worked with this year? Well, formatting options in Excel. We've also learned how to import and export data in Excel. And looking back at the whole thing, probably the last thing that we've worked with is converting to a range, converting data into a range. And these are the various things, perhaps not all of the things, but most of the things that we've learned this year in Excel. Okay? Now, let me show you the feature called Hyperlink. I have a video tutorial online, actually I've found it from someone else, that teaches you how to use the VLOOKUP. And while I'm making the presentation, I want the user to be able to click on VLOOKUP here and go right to that website. So what I've done is I've clicked in the text box here, and we're going to highlight VLOOKUP. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the Insert tab and choose Hyperlink under the Links category. So I choose Hyperlink. Now, in the Link To field, I want to make sure that it says Existing File or Web Page. And I've already got the website located, what I want it to go to. So I'm going to click Paste. Now, what you're going to do when you make this presentation for yourself is you're going to open up the websites.rtf file, and in that file it has the URL for the website. And now I'm going to click OK. Now, when I run this page in my presentation, all the user has to do is click on VLOOKUP, and it will open up the web browser and take them right to the tutorial for the VLOOKUP. Next, let's go ahead and insert a picture. So under the Insert tab, I'm going to choose Picture. Let the dialog box open up. And the picture that I'm going to choose from the desktop is called Excel Icon. And so it inserts the Excel icon. I'm going to drag the Excel icon over here to the right-hand side, and now I'm going to choose a picture style, which is up here under Picture Tools in the Format tab. And the picture style that I'm going to choose is the reflected rounded rectangle. And you see the bottom part here is reflected underneath the text. That's a pretty neat style to go along with it. And so there's my page right there, my next slide. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and add a new slide. Now, the consequence here is it's going to add in a slide, but it's going to be the same double column format as the previous slide. See right here? Now, let's say I don't want that format. Well, I can right-click right here. I can create a new slide, check for updates, or let's see here. Layout. So by going to Layout, it's a way to figure out how to change the format of the slide in a quicker way. So what I'm going to choose here is I'm going to choose Title and Content. So I click on Title and Content, and it reformats the slide for me. Then I'm going to click on Then We Went to Access. Now, instead of adding text, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add in a movie clip. I've got a movie file, an MP4 file called Access Movie. What I do is I hover over the Insert Media clip and then click on that. Goes to the desktop where I've saved the Access Movie. I click and add it in. I hit OK. Now, how do you want the movie to start in the slide? I want it to start automatically, so I choose Automatically. Now notice here this isn't very large. I can preview the movie without having to run the presentation by double-clicking on the movie file. And when that happens, you see the movie opening up. A couple things I noticed. There's a lot of black space here at the top and at the bottom, and I don't really want that to view. So what I'll do is I'll go to the selector. I'll stop the movie from running. I'll go to the middle selector at the bottom and crunch this down. Now I'll double click and see how this plays. And now that black stuff is gone. Now what I'm going to do, stop the movie from playing by double clicking. I'm going to reposition things. So I reposition this here, and I'm going to resize the movie. Now to make sure that everything's aligned the way that I want it, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go up to Format under Picture Tools, and I'm going to go over to Align. And I'm going to make sure that it's aligned to the center, and then I'm going to make sure it's aligned to the middle of the slide. And it moves it down. But notice that overlaps with my text. So now I'm going to use the cursor key on the keyboard. I'm going to hit up on the cursor key a few times, and that looks good. Now when I double click, there we go. It now plays the movie. Double click again to stop playing the movie. Okay, let's add a few more features here. Now, I've already got the movie playing automatically. I also want the movie to rewind after it's done playing. So I'm going to select this feature here. I don't want the movie to play full screen. I want it to stay within the slide, so I'm going to leave that as it is. All right? Okay, now let's add in another slide. New slide. But I don't want the same layout. I actually want to go back to that double content pane. So I'm going to right-click, choose Layout, and choose To Content. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add more text. So down here in the title, I'm going to say, Things We Learned in Access. Okay, well, what did we learn? We learned how to create tables. We learned how to set table properties. We learned how to import, export tables. We learned how to create queries. We learned how to create one-to-many relationships this year. We also learned about the criteria rows in queries. Let's see, we also learned how to filter queries. We learned about creating custom forms. We learned about creating reports. We learned about combo boxes. We learned about tab controls in forms. And that is most of what we learned in Access this year, so we'll call that good right there. Now, I'm going to insert the Access icon. So I go to Insert. I'm going to choose Picture. And there's the Access icon. So I'm going to insert that. I'm going to drag it down here. I'm going to just do a little bit of resizing. Now I'm going to choose a picture style, so I'm going to choose that reflected bounded rectangle, as I did for the Excel icon. But I want another feature. I want the Access icon to be animated. So I click once on the Access icon, and I go up to the Animations tab. And all I want this to do is I want this to slide in from the right-hand side. The best thing to do, I think, there's a lot of nice features here. This area is called the transition to the slide area. These handle slide transitions. Well, I don't want a slide transition. I just want the object itself to slide in from the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Custom Animation, which is the most powerful feature in PowerPoint. And the Custom Animation box appears on the right-hand side. I'm going to add in the effect. It's an entrance feature. And I want it to fly in. I can also go to more effects and see what kind of effects they have, but I just want this to fly in. Now it's going to give me some options here. I want it to fly in from the right. So I choose from right. And I don't want it to fly in too fast, so I'm just going to choose medium. And now when I play the PowerPoint presentation, it slides in from the right. I can even see a preview down here by hitting play. And it shows a preview of the transition. So this is how you add animations in. Now let's say I wanted to add in slide transitions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to return to the slides preview bar on the left-hand side, and I choose Control A. What that does is Control A selects all the slides. Now under the Animations tab, in the Transition Slide category, I can now add a transition, a slide transition, to every single slide in this presentation. So let's see here. The one that I'm going to choose is, let's see here. I think I like this one, Newsflash. All right, let's add in a blank slide now. So I go to the Slides Preview pane. I right-click. I'm going to add a new slide, but I don't want the double content column format. So I right-click on the slide. I go to Layout. And it is very important sometimes to know how to insert a blank slide. So I'm going to choose blank. Now, this is my final slide in my presentation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a text box. So I go Insert, Text Box. I'm going to click one time, and it opens up the text box. I'm going to change the font size to 32, and I'm going to change the text type to Times New Roman. So I select Times New Roman. Now, I have typed in titles for the different slides here. So the very first slide is called the title slide. Then, after that, things we learned in Excel. Then after that, then we went to Access. After that, things we learned in Access. And then the final slide is this slide right here, which we don't need text for. I'm going to add bullets to this text. So what I do is I highlight all of the text here. Under the Home tab, I'm going to go to this part. For the paragraph category, I'm going to choose bullets. If you right-click, or not right-click, but if you left-click on the drop-down arrow, you can choose the different styles. Well, I'm just going to choose the good old standard bullet right there. Now, I'm going to add another kind of a hyperlink. I want a hyperlink that doesn't go to web pages, but goes to different locations within the presentation itself. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight the title slide text. I go back to the Insert tab. I choose Hyperlink. And now what I make sure is it says, under the Link To category, it says Place in this document. And now what I can see all lined out for me is a different place, the different places in this document that this link can take me. So I want it to go to the title slide. I'm going to hit OK. And now when I'm running the presentation by clicking on this text right here, the user will return to the beginning. Let's go ahead and add in hyperlinks now that return the user to the various places. So things we learned in Excel, hit OK. Hyperlink, then we went to Access, and I need to type in another S here. There we go. And then highlight Hyperlink. Then we learned things we learned in Access. Hit OK. Excellent. And there's my PowerPoint presentation. So now let's go back to the beginning. First slide. How do you run your PowerPoint presentation? There's a couple of different ways to do it. The most easiest way is in the right-hand corner. You see this little icon here that says Slideshow. And so we hit Slideshow. And there it is. There's my title slide. Now I'm going to click with the mouse. The next page opens up. Here's my hyperlink that goes to the web. Now I'm not going to do it in this recording, but if we clicked on that, it would take us to the video for the tutorial on the VLOOKUP. Click Next. Goes straight to the movie, and the movie begins to play right here. Click again. There's my animation. Click again. There are my hyperlinks. Let's go back to the title slide. So I click on title slide, and it goes back to the title slide. So we've done a lot here in this little video right here. I've introduced you to a lot. I've introduced you into inserting pictures, adding animations to pictures, inserting video clips, inserting web link hyperlinks, inserting location link hyperlinks, and showing you slide transitions. These are some of the basic things that I've shown you. Also how to insert new slides and how to change the layout. So now that you have this video finished, you're going to go through and you're going to make this exact same tutorial or presentation just the way that I did, except you're going to add your last name to the subtitle here. And that's going to be your first assignment in PowerPoint. Then after that, we're going to sit down. I'm going to type out some options for you to create your own presentation. You can have your own fictional business or your own fictional ministry, maybe even a real ministry. Why does it even have to be fictional? And you're going to plan out a presentation for this, and you're going to use the things that you have learned and even more features that you can learn about PowerPoint to create that. And so the grade for PowerPoint is basically going to be this assignment and then a project. And that's going to conclude your project or your grade for PowerPoint. All right? God bless you wherever you are today.
Praise Father, Son.